The cost of seeing clearly is the death of prejudice, the surrender of defensiveness, and the letting go of the need to be right. It's the surrender of opinion. The cost of seeing clearly. We could say, like seeing through the eyes of love. What has to happen? What is that? Well, what it means really is a massive transformation from the self that is built on its prejudices, its defenses, its opinions, the whole structure of being a someone, small someone, big someone, but it doesn't really matter what kind of someone, but of being a someone. And to see clearly, to see with the eyes of love, that all has to go, which in many ways is the end of the self. It's the end of the one who upholds themselves in some kind of way. It's radical openness, a radical transformation, a radical willingness to drop all that, and to see what remains. Because what remains by and by, you understand and see that what remains is true. What remains is the unknown. What remains is silence. What remains is clear seeing. The eyes of love see. They're not kind of, the sentimental love that we have in mind when we even utter the word love. We have such a limited idea of love in the Western language. Not all language has such a limited view or knowledge or way of speaking of love. But this love that's being talked of, the love of seeing clearly, is seeing as if from the eyes of God, as if from the eyes of compassion, as if from the eyes of awareness, as if from the eyes of silence. But you see, you can't just make that decision. That seeing arises through the great willingness to drop the self with all of its preoccupations, and particularly all of its prejudices and its opinions and its beliefs and all of its ways of strategizing and defending its way, defending and attacking its way through the myriad number of experiences we call life. If we want if we want to embrace the divine nature of ourselves, this is the radical transformation, the radical willingness we need. And it's something that only each of us can do for ourselves. It's not something that can be taught. It's something that can be talked about. But ultimately it's on us. It's on you, it's on me, depending on what we want. We might not want that. It might be, comfortably uncomfortable with seeing through the eyes of the self, or comfortably uncomfortable with our prejudice or our opinions. We might see our opinions as the foundations upon which we stand, and we can't yield them. We can't yield our defendedness. We can't yield our wounds because it's just too much. So there we must settle. Nobody's making anybody do anything. But if that speaks to you, if that's a way that speaks to you, then one has to have such courage of willingness to see through one's own prejudice, just to be willing to undo it, to see beyond it. Say, no, I'm not going to go towards that prejudice, that opinion, that defendedness. I'm just going to sit here in emptiness, in silence, and wait and see. Becomes powerful, becomes a powerful transformation. The undoing of all of that stuff that's built up over the lifetime. Not for the faint-hearted, but for the open-hearted. For the open-hearted one. The one who's willing to go through the open heart into a deeper vista, into a deeper openness, into the vast unknown, and to see from those eyes. To see from those eyes. The cost of seeing clearly is the death of prejudice, the surrender of defensiveness, and the letting go of the need to be right. A letting go of the need to be right. Now that's a big one. It sounds small, but it's actually a big one. Because we set our store there. I'm right. Even when it's negative, when it's positive, when it's about me, when it's about the world, I'm right. Woe betide us should we flip from right to wrong. I'm wrong, and that makes me a victim. So we hold desperately on to being right because we so desperately don't want to be wrong, because wrong self-negates us. And we don't want to be self-negated. And yet we must open the door to go beyond self-affirmation and self-negation, and to fall into a deeper hole of the unknown. This is incredibly powerful, but it requires incredible tenacity and willingness, softness and courage. Bless you.